Hi, it's Kimberly Theodore from Poladora, and I'm back. This is going to be the first video of a series that I'm going to do on tangling. My list of requests is quite long, and the one thing that I see come up over and over again is, the subject of Zentangle. Now, it's not easy for me to say that repeatedly quickly, so I'm just going to refer to what I do as tangling. It's so much easier. Anyway, I thought that in this first video, I would introduce you to some things that you may need or not. It depends on how resourceful you are and how well you use what is already available to you. I have a lot of expensive toys, and I'll admit that right up front. So by no means do you need to purchase everything that I'm going to show you here today to tangle. Quite simply, you could tangle with a piece of paper and a pencil. And that's what makes it so neat and so therapeutic, is that you can do it anywhere, at any time, waiting for the doctor, on the train, in the car riding as a passenger. Anytime you want, you can pretty much pull out a pencil or fine black marker and a little card or something that you can tangle on, and you can just tangle. It's that simple. So I'm going to show you what I have and what's available. I can't show you everything that's available, obviously, but I can show you, I can open the world for you on what the possibilities are. Tangling for me was very therapeutic at a time when I had some health issues that required doing something that made me feel good. And I pretty much squelched the artist in me for 32 years while I worked for an international corporation, and eventually became their CEO and chairman of the board. And so I spent my life pretty much in administration, and I started my life in art. I never gave up my art. I did it as a hobby, but now that I'm retired, I find it both therapeutic, and it's also awakening things in me that I never knew lived inside of me. And I hope that your journey through art, if it hasn't already become that for you, that it will someday. And I'm here to admit and confess to you that, I was so thrilled when adult coloring, so to speak, became all the rage, because I literally colored my way out of a depression. And I find that my art in any form, whether it's painting, tangling, pour painting, acrylic painting, crochet, whatever form of art that I involve myself in, I find to be really at the root of my my healing. And I hope that it's the same for you too. Okay, now enough of the boring stuff. The first thing I want to talk about is paper. I said you can literally tangle on anything, and it's true. The back of an envelope. I do it on scraps of paper when I'm too lazy to get up out of my chair. But I feel the urge to my hand. It just wants to move constantly, even if it means making little circles or something. So you can literally tangle on anything. But I'm going to show you some of the things that are available. This here is just something you can order online. It's called Artist Tile Set. And these are, they're a cardstock with a fine-tooth surface. And there's no ink bleed for fine line control. And it's great for either dry or wet media. But I can tell you that these were originally designed for tangling. So I'm just going to show you, this is a package here. There's 75 in this package. And they're individual little cards. They're like cardstock. They're real smooth to the touch. And just to show you how fine and how tiny you can get with these. This is a tangle I did on one of these little cards. This is from another pack because it's a different corner edge and a different color. It's off-white instead of white. But I wanted to show you just how tiny you can get with something like this. And if you're not to that stage yet and you just want to doodle largely, here you go. You can carry these in your purse or in your pocket if you're a guy. Now, I don't know if you can see it, but I did this in 2015. I signed it. That's my signature. And I titled it, see, it even says Zentangle on it. I titled it Mike, because what I did was, Mike's my husband's name, by the way, my sweetie. I simply wrote his name first. There's the M, I, K, and then there's an E here. So you can start anywhere. I'll give you an example. All you need is a string to start. And when I say string, I'm talking about a drawn string. So if I were to use a pencil, which I told you you could do this anywhere, take out my little card, and all I have to do really is just make a scribble. See? Now what I've got, whether I use a marker, black marker, or pencil, or anything really, now I've got all these spaces that I can fill in with different elements of tangling. They could be circles, polka dots, flowers, whatever you want. So this is one item. The Artist Tile Set, 75 acid-free tiles. You can order these online in black, white, or ivory. And there you go. Another option is to take, I love these. I would take cradled birch or cradled, I can't think of the name of this board right now, but it's simply a board that's cradled with pine and then gessoed in white. I love cradled birch as a canvas. I use all sizes, types, brands of canvas, real canvas for my art. But if I could only have one item to use for my art, I would choose cradled birch. This happens to be a really nice smooth surface for the purpose of Zentangle. In another video, I'm going to show you what you could do to this first before you tangle on it. But right now, I could simply use this and use a dark black marker or pencil or whatever I want to use. By the way, you can do your entire tangle in pencil and then make corrections where you want after you've looked at it and erase them. You know, you can erase the pencil lines and change it before you put it to ink, or copy over your pencil lines with a marker. So for those of you afraid to ruin something like this because you don't know what you're doing yet, practice. You can use one of these with pencil and then erase what you don't like and start over. So this is another example of something that you can use. You can buy these online. You can get them from dickblick.com. You can get them from, I don't know, Walmart, Michael's, Joann Fabrics, I think. But if you're searching on Amazon for art supplies, or you go to dickblick.com, you're going to find them. So those are the wooden canvases. Now this is my go-to paper for my Zentangle. The pieces that I showed you before that I've done in the past were done on this paper. Now this is simply a pad of paper that you can find at Michael's, or I've actually ordered mine online. It's produced by Bee Paper, Aqua Bee. It's the Bee Paper Company Professional Series. It's a pad of paper. There's 30 sheets on this when you buy it new. And it's called Artist Marker Pad. And what's neat about it is that it's ultra smooth, which is what you want when you're using things like paint markers and permanent markers and things like that. You don't want your lines to bleed. They will not bleed on this. This is the paper that I've used for almost all of my frameable tangling that I've done. So there you go, Artist Marker Pad by Bee Paper Company Professional Series, and you can also order this online. Just put it into the search and I'm sure it'll bring up a couple of options for you. Now a lot of you already know what Yupo is. It's wonderful. It's a dream come true, but it's extremely pricey. At least to me, it is. I don't think you get much for your money. You can buy a small pad. They come in different weights. This is heavy. You can get medium, you can get light, you can get cardstock. But this is their real heavy version. And it's so thick that I can barely bend it. And it's calling this is 5x7, by the way. There's 10 sheets per pad, not a lot. So I use them sparingly. I use them mostly for my alcohol inks. And I will be talking more about that in another series. But this is Yupo Heavy. It's made by Legion. And the trade name is Yupo, Y-U-P-O. This is heavy. This is 5x7. There are 10 sheets in here. And I don't remember what I paid for it. But trust me, I paid more for this than I did for anything else I showed you. Even the canvas. Even the wooden canvas. It also comes in medium and light. This is a medium stock. And here again, this is, you can tell this is more bendable. See, this is more giving, but it's heavier than paper. So, and again, it's got the smooth surface on it. But I'm going to caution you, I'm not touching this paper, because once you touch this paper and you have and you transfer any of the oil from your skin or hand lotion or anything that you've had your hands in prior to touching this, it will affect your alcohol drips on this if you use it for alcohol art as well as for tangling. And so I'm always handling it by the edge, if you can see how I do that. Because I'm going to tape this to a surface anyway, and I'm going to have a white border all the way around where my tape sits and the ink doesn't get to. So if I handle it just by the edge, I'm good to go. But you don't want to handle this paper. If you're going to cut it, if you're going to buy the large pad thinking that it'll be less expensive in the long run, then I recommend that you take a piece out of the pad carefully and sandwich it between two pieces of paper from your copier. Just plain old copier paper. One underneath, one on top. And when you do that, you can go ahead and cut them in half, cut them in fourths, whatever size you want, 5x7, whatever you need. And Yupo is not paper. It is synthetic paper. It is technically plastic. And that's why you can do so many wonderful things with it, like watercolor, alcohol ink. You don't have to worry about getting it wet. Even if you want to work on background textures with special effects, you don't have to worry about spraying water onto the surface of this because it is waterproof. Okay, so those are the some of the papers that you can use other than the back of an envelope, like I said, a receipt, something from your purse. Before I go on to the next thing, I promised in my last video that I would show you the results of every video I do. I'm going to show you if there are results from something that we made together through the video. I will show it to you at the beginning of the next video. So now I'm going to show you what happened last time. These are from my last video, and these are the 3 canvases that I showed you a technique for varnishing that will give you somewhere in between varnish, multiple coats, and resin, which is the ultimate. Everybody loves resin. I love resin, but I couldn't afford to put resin on everything that I make. So I found this new process. You can't even, the gloss on this is so smooth that not even on the edges do you see the imprint from the texture of the cotton canvas below the art. So this is one of them. This is the next one. We did 3, and it was 1 coat of Liquitex pouring medium and 1 coat of Liquitex high gloss varnish. Normally when I varnish, I might use 4 or 5 coats of varnish because it's thin and watery, which is fine. It's self-leveling and it works fine. But you wouldn't get anywhere near this finish, no matter how many coats of varnish that you put on. So that's the second one. And this is the last one. And I don't know I hope you're seeing the shine on this. And it's just so smooth, so nice. While I have you, I might as well show you how I finish my canvases. This one I always sign my canvases. But this is one of those paintings that you can turn any way. And I try to leave it up to the customer which way they want to hang my work. So in this case, I signed it on the edge. That's my signature. Kim. Poladora is the name of my boutique and the year that I did it. And so after I'm finished, I tape the edges, even though using this finish tape doesn't require that. I still do. I tape my edges on the back so that I don't have to suffer if I decide to resin something. I don't have to deal with the bumps. I can just peel them off with the tape. And then I put push pins, something like this in each corner to stand it up off of my surface for painting and varnishing. When I'm all done, I remove all the bad tape, all the tape that has all the gunk on it. And I remove the push pins, and then I use this real heavy duty, I guess you'd call this duct tape. I would call it colored duct tape. It comes in all kinds of colors. I know my preteen granddaughters love it for various reasons. And so that's what I use to finish off the back of my canvas. And I've done different things in the past, but this is what I'm doing now. I like the back of my canvas to be open to breathe. If I buy a piece of art that has already been covered with brown craft paper, I remove it for two reasons. One, I like to hang canvassed art flat to the wall, so it doesn't hang out from the wall in any way, which could happen if you're using a wire on the back. And the other reason is because I want the back of my canvas to breathe. I usually wet down my canvas when I'm completely finished and prior to taping it, just to tighten it up again so that when you look at it, it almost looks like a birch wood canvas. It's so flat. But after that, I want it to breathe. So that's just my tip for how to finish your work. All right, now we can move on to things you can use to tangle with. I'm spoiled, and I have way too many tools at my pleasure. But I want to show you some of the things that you could use, but like I said earlier, I mean, you could go to the store and buy yourself a Sharpie pen. You could get a real Sharpie, a fine point Sharpie permanent marker. They work fine. So those are some of the possibilities that are inexpensive. But I also have here a Prismacolor Premier fine line marker. And this is .01, which is very, very fine. You can use a pencil, which we've already talked about. Gel pen. Gel pens are relatively inexpensive. You can add sparkle, you can add color, you can buy them in large quantities at a reasonable price. So gel pens are fun. This is my go-to pen if I want to use black archival ink. This is Pigma Micron, and the size of this is .05. So again, very fine, but not quite as fine as the .01. And this is black, and it tells you what size it is on the end cap. But they do come in colors, so you can get these in colors as well. The all-time favorite of me and many of my friends is the UNI Posca paint pens. This is real paint in a pen. You have to shake it. It's got a little ball in there to shake up the paint. It's acrylic. And mine has Japanese writing on it because I order these online and I get them cheaper that way. But you can buy these in your local craft store or order them through Amazon, whatever. The tip is a pump tip, meaning you have to pump it to get the ink to flow. But once it starts to flow, you can use it for quite a while before you have to pump it again. But you should continue every so often to shake it. And these come in all colors. So I have some colors, not many, because most of my tangling is done in black and white. But if I wanted to have a huge array of colors, I could. I have black, I have white, and I have silver, and I have gold, and a couple of basic colors, but that's pretty much it. Now I'm going to bring out the heavy artillery. If you'll hold on a second. There you go. You could use something like Arteza's Real Brush Pens. These are water-based ink in a pen. I'll pull out the blue and show you. Arteza Real Brush Pen. This is Arctic Blue, number 117. And it has a real brush on the end of it. It's probably not the best way to show you, but let's see. Maybe I decide that this particular shape in here, before I put black tangling on top of it, I want to make it a color. I could simply use this brush pen and outline it. You wouldn't even have to outline it. You could just like have at it. It doesn't have to be perfect. And just fill it in. That might be a little too dark for making your tangles show up real well, but maybe yellow, peach, colors like that. Or you could just, whatever you want to do, make it look like an impressionist, expressionist, or an abstract painting, and just run some color on your surface and then let it dry and go ahead and tangle. Pop that right back in there. So these are the Arteza Unique Colors Blendable Water-Based Ink. 48 came in this one. And they're real brush pens. These are another brush pen, but they're a little different in that they're watercolor brush pens. There's 20 in this package, and these are great. Took one out. This is these are also refillable, so you can buy the ink, the paint separate, and refill your water brush pen if you want to. And Anyway, this is called a watercolor brush, and it's made by Touch, TEN. I would say if you did a search on Google or Amazon, you could probably find a couple of different brands. But again, it's just like using a real brush and watercolors. And because they're watercolors, you can add water to this now and blend it even paler. So it would make a really pretty background for a tangle. Okay, these are watercolor brush pens, refillable. In you go. Okay. Now the ultimate. This is Arteza again. 72 fine liner pens. Premium. These are water-based ink. And inside here are 2 trays, 3 trays, forget what I have, 3 trays of every color known to man in a fine tip, 0.04, and boy, if you want to do color on your tangles, this is the way to go. But they're not inexpensive, so keep that in mind. But I mean, every blue, every pink, everything imaginable. Arteza fine liner, 0.4, water-based, and see the size of that tip is just so tiny. Here's a tiny square. How about that? Okay. But let me repeat. None of this is necessary to learn to tangle or to tangle and have a great time. It's very therapeutic. I highly recommend it. And what I'm going to do for my next YouTube video in this series is I'm going to show you how to do a couple things to an existing palette. For example, if you wanted to do something on Yupo, or if you wanted to do something on this nice board here, in advance of doing your... Quiet! Mommy is videoing. My dogs. I can never guarantee that they won't bark. Because that's what dogs do. Anyway, in the next video I can show you how to do some things with backgrounds. So if you want a colorful background before you add your tangling to the top of it, I can show you how to do that. So that's a video in itself, because there's a number of options and I'd like to give them all to you in one video. So that's all I have for now. If you liked what I told you, or if you've learned something new, or you want to see more of my videos, then please, by all means, give me a thumbs up. It helps me in my standing since I'm starting out and I'm fairly new at this, helps me in my standings with the search engines at YouTube. Subscribe to my channel, please. I gained over 100 subscribers in a very short period of time, and I want to thank those of you who did subscribe to my channel already. Thank you. I really appreciate it. I have art for sale. Obviously, I can't just keep making all this art and then we have no walls. So anyway, most of my art is sold by word of mouth or commissioned. But I'm now starting to list some of my art on my Facebook page for Poladora, a boutique of the unique. So if you do a search on Facebook for Poladora, a boutique of the unique, you should be able to find my Facebook page for my boutique. And you'll be able to see my paintings that are currently up for sale on that site. And that's it. That's all I wanted to say today. And please use the link below my video for an Amazon link to find whatever materials you saw here today. Oh, I almost forgot one thing. But you might want to wait. I use, to help her out, a fellow artist named Priscilla Betzel from Expressionist Art Studio and Gallery. I use her link for Amazon because whatever you buy through her link, she gets a very small commission on, and it's small, but it all adds up in the end. So I got to talk to her about getting these things listed on her site so they're not hard for you to find. However, her link will be below my video today, and you can hit her link and you can do a search for any of these items and probably find them anyway on your own. And if you go through her link, she'll still get credit for it, even if it's not something that she pre-marked. But I'm going to try to make it easier for you, and I'm going to ask her to enter some of these things. It's also my understanding that she is affiliated now with Arteza. And so if you're interested in any of the Arteza products that I've shown you here today, you may be able to get those through her link as well. And that would also help her out. But one of the things that I would like you to do is order this book. It's pricey, I know. I'm not sure, but I think today it's around $45. But it's a workbook. If you find something very inexpensive that looks the same, it's not the right book. Because this is a very thick book, as you can tell. It's called The Art of Zentangle by Walter Foster. And inside, this was my workbook. So inside, it not only has the different things you can do, different markings, but it also gives you space to practice. So, for example, let's pick something simple. This is called perfs, and it's simply circles. But this was blank, and I filled it in with my own version. It's supposed to be your area to practice. Okay, I went a little overboard. That's me. That's just who I am. But you don't have to. You can just do this if you want to. And then I dated it. This was from 2014, and I signed them. And so this looks difficult here, but they give you a spot to practice. And you may not be able to do all these things on your first try, but having this book gives you the opportunity to just practice at your leisure and practice whatever you're comfortable with when you're comfortable with it. And they've got goofy birds, things you can take out of textured backgrounds if you wanted to. See, there are some blank spaces in here that I never did fill out. Here's a fish aquarium that I did after learning some of the tricks from this book, if you can believe that. This was their version, and this is my version, again, a little over the top, but that's just me. These are fish, I love doing the fish. They were just empty fish outlines, and I filled them all in with Tangling. You want this book. If you've got to beg, borrow, or steal, or save your pennies, buy this book. I know it's expensive, but you'll have a ball with it. You'll learn from it. And what can I say? I know it's expensive, but for your own benefit, this is one I did too. Just, start with this. If you can't afford this right away, start with these cards. Or start with blank paper and a pencil. Just start. Just start anywhere. And you'll grow from there. I guarantee it. So with that, almost forgetting the most important thing, get the book. And that's it for today. Thank you for coming. Bye now.